What's going on, everyone? I'm back with another video. This video is going to be looking at Atalanta style rotation and possession concepts when they're in their offensive organization phase, how they use possession as a tool to then create space and go forward and exploit superiority to progress up the field. So now we'll see Atalanta in blue. They're building with a 3-2 build-up shape as they usually do, or a 3-5-2 if we're looking at their whole structure. And we've broken up the field into 5 central corridors as we usually do. So before we start, please check out my book. It's on Amazon and you can check it out, and there's a link in the description below as well. Please take a look at my blog on Medium. I've been producing a lot of content, a lot of free content for everyone to enjoy, and I've been trying to produce more free content for everyone to try and provide the highest value. But let's get right into the video now. So Atalanta with their 3-2 build-up, and we'll see their number 10 position played by the number 7 in the center of the field as we see here, and he'll have a very key role in creating wide rotations. Their double pivot most commonly will be looking to drop between their central defenders and then allowing their wide center backs to overlap. What this does is it vacates the center of the field and it draws out the 2 forward players, or if the opposing team was playing with a front 3, it would typically draw out their attacking midfielders and their front 3 to invite a press, but also break up the structure of their opposing team in their defensive phase. So by vacating the pivot area, we have space now to move into, with our number 7 playing our 10 role, then drops deeper to occupy. And if he's not picked up by a forward, he could potentially be an avenue to be played into and progress past the first line of pressure, or more likely, the forwards will stagger to block off this option with their cover shadow, so the ball will be circulated through the half space. Now, the ball ends up at the number 8, who's playing the right center back position, but he started as a double pivot on the right hand side. So by dropping deeper, we get a deep line playmaker and a central defender in the wide area. And this is interesting because central defenders we don't typically associate with a high technical capacity, but with this wide role, it simplifies their role in possession and almost simplifies the game for them and their decision-making progress. As well as if there's a technical error, it's not in the worst position or a position of danger in terms of a loss of possession. But now we create a rondo structure with our number 10, who is just in the pivot position, moving over towards the half space. We have our number 9, our forward, also overloading the half space, and now the center pivot area is relatively vacant with no players occupying it and allowing more players to occupy the space around the ball. And we'll see the rotations that happen on the weak side in just a minute. So our forwards will oftentimes come over and try and create 2v1s in advanced areas to then try and create more avenues to play into in further forward positions. So when this happens, they often rotate and work to try and pin the back line, create superiority, or get the defense to overshift, as we see here, vacating nearly the half space on the weak side and the wide area. From here, we can start to see the weak side rotation. So now, if you'll notice, the player who started as our left central defender, our wide center back, he'll then invert his run into a central position higher up the field. So this is a very radical idea to have a central defender playing in a more advanced position, but when we look at the concept, it's more of a placeholder if anything. So with our deep line playmaker on the ball, we then have our central defender occupying this role here. So now by being in this position, he essentially tries to affect or pin the defense's shifting when they would then try and compensate for a switch of play. So if the ball were to be circulated, this defender would be a placeholder to then have the defenders have to solve this problem and not allow him to be free in this advanced position, which would oftentimes open up the wide option through a winger who then could progress through the vacant space. So the overload and isolation principle applies here. So as we move forward, we can then see the vacant pivot position now has 3 central options to then progress to. So now it's about finding a player to access this, to then exploit the space, and by vacating this space, it creates a unique opportunity for players to move in and multiple players blind sides of the defense. So it'll be our number 6 here, our holding midfielder. He'll move into this position in the blind side of all these defenders to arrive at the right opportunity and collect the ball to then potentially progress play further forward instead of circulating on first line passes. So as he moves in, the forward cuts off the circulation, he jumps in the blind side, and now we see our central defender moving into a deeper position, creating a first line pass or consolidating circulation as the ball is in possession. So now we have an avenue to progress through, and now we can more easily access our vacant player in the vacant space while using the central corridor in a more dynamic way and allowing players to vary their movement to then make them more unpredictable. And having these players in these positional fluidities, having players occupy multiple roles, they are still playing to their strengths, as we see our central defender going from a placeholder to then vacate the wide area, to then coming as a deep playmaker to circulate possession to the wide player and bypass the forward's press of the cover shadow. And that's going to wrap up today's analysis, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.